Now, there will be some problems using compound interest. So, it's always good when you have a formula to know what the variables equal. And in fact, one of the keys to solving a word problem is writing down your definitions for your variables to start with. You write down your definitions, and then you want to write down your equation, and then you do some substitutions from your definitions into your equation. So, this formula is for compound interest, and I is the interest earned. The P stands for principal invested, R stands for interest rate, and T stands for time invested. And the time needs to be in the same units that the interest rate is in terms of. In our problems, they will be the same, but if you go on to the college algebra class, or maybe some actual real life maybe, you have to watch out. Those units might not always be written the same, and you have to translate. Okay. So, one question might arise is, how long would it take to earn $100 by investing $1,000 at a 5% per year interest rate? Question. So first we want to make our definitions. We know that I equals interest earned, P is principal invested, R is interest rate, T is the time invested, and in this case it's per year, so it's time in years. And we said, how long would it take to earn $100? Oh, that's interest earned. So my I equals 100. By investing $1,000, investing, it's the principal that we invest. Principal invested is P, so our P is 1,000. At 5% per year interest rate, my interest rate is 5%, so the interest rate is R, is 5% over a year, but really it's 5%. And of course we know that 5% in its decimal form is 0.05. That's a lousy 5. And lastly, T, well, how long will it take? That's what we're trying to find, T. And we know that it's got to be in years because my interest rate is in years. So T is going to be our time invested in years. Then with a formula, well, in this case, I'm solving for T, so I might as well pull down the formula written in terms of T. I mean, written as T in terms of everything else. So T equals interest earned divided by principal times rate. Now I could have worked with this original form and plugged my stuff in, but then I had to solve for T. And that's fine if I'm only doing one problem. But if I'm, checking some ideas around and I want to throw in a lot of different numbers, a lot of different scenarios, then I don't want to have to rearrange my problem every time I change the values of my variables. So that's why I would want to rearrange my formula first and get it in terms, express it so that I have what I'm trying to solve for in terms of everything else. So that's why I want to take the formula T equals in terms of everything else in that relationship. So once I have my formula, then I plug my values in according to my definitions. We'll see, I is 100, so I put 100 for I. P, my P is 1,000, so in place of P I put 1,000. R is 5%, which is 0.05, so I put 0.05 in place of R. Now it's just a matter of crunching the numbers. Okay, that's not straightforward, obvious. I can divide 100 out of the top and the bottom. Because it's a fraction, I can divide the same thing out of the top and the bottom. Up here I'll get 1, down here I'll get 10. 10 times 0.05 0.05, when you multiply by 10, you're getting larger by one place value, so you move your place value to the right one. So then this ends up as 0.5, so 1 over 0.5. Of course, 0.5 is just a half, and I don't like having the fraction on the bottom, so I could multiply by the reciprocal, 1, 2 over 1, which this gives us, well, 2 over 1 is just 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And here, when you multiply by the reciprocal, you get 1 as a result. 1 times 2 is 2 over 2 times 1 is 2, which is 2 divided by 2 is 1. But then here, the numerator divided by 1 is just my numerator, so I get 2. Or I could have looked at it as 0.1 divided by half, 1 divided by 1/2. But division by fraction is multiplication by its reciprocal, and that's just simply 2. Or I could have said 1 divided by 0.5. We know if we're dividing the decimal, I'm going to move this one place over. Get the so I'm not dividing by decimal anymore. But in order to move it here, I have to move it there because I can only move by multiplying by a form of 1 made up of fraction of powers of 10. 10, actually 10 over 10. So this decimal moves from here over to here, which puts a 0 in here and brings my decimal up to there. And then we know that 5 goes into 10 twice, so we get the 2. So there's a series of these problems for you to solve on homework. The key is writing your definitions out, and writing your formula, and then it's just substitution and crunch the numbers.